Hey guys, I want to talk a little bit today about giving a woman something to work with when you try to make a cold approach. I have two examples that hopefully will accentuate this point or illustrate it a little bit more, rather than just the words alone. Just a couple stories to share with you from my day to day, and this will make a little bit more sense as the talk goes on. But just the notion being, when you try to make a cold approach to talk to a stranger, i.e., you see a woman you're attracted to, and you are just trying to jump out of nowhere and see what's up and see if there's anything there, or see whatever, how it goes to meet a stranger today, kind of thing. You have to give the woman something to work with. In other words, you have to lay something out on the table that's going to give her something to talk with you about, or going to create a moment for you to actually have a conversation with her, have more of an interaction with her. Because if you don't do this, it's extremely awkward, and you've got to put yourself in a woman's shoes, or anybody's shoes for that matter. The difference in these two scenarios, it's quite clear to see why one goes completely nowhere and the other might actually go somewhere. Not all the time, of course. There's no guarantees in life. None of the stuff that I talk about here is going to guarantee you anything, but it's just, once again, it's just seeing what's up. It's just having a little conversation. It's just seeing what can come of a moment or a chance meeting in life, and you just never know what can happen. So with that being said, I'll just share two little stories from my day today. I was out and about, and I noticed a woman that was walking down the street, and she caught my eye, and I decided that I just wanted to see what was up with her and try to talk to her and see where that went. And it was good. I found a little break in the action where she stopped walking and she was looking at her phone. She was checking on something, and I chose to go in with one of the non-hand showing openers that I'm always talking about here. It's actually one of the common everyday, anywhere, anytime sort of icebreakers that I talked about in a previous video. But I approached her and I said, "Hey, excuse me, are you from the neighborhood here by any chance?" And she responded that unfortunately she wasn't. She was just visiting, and she was from out of town. And that right there was the impetus to mount or to foster a conversation and see how far you could talk with this person, just see where it went, let's say. And so from there, I basically, we found this quick little common ground that we were both out of towners more or less, and that I was just looking for cool places to check out for food and maybe a drink or something. I just want to see what she recommended if she was from here. And then it just went into this whole conversation about where she was from, what she was doing in the neighborhood here, what she was up to, and it went into like her work and where she was from and all kinds of cool stuff. It was actually really neat. I ended up having like a 10 or 15 minute conversation with this girl, and it went really well. And it's kind of like the progression of things that I'm always talking about. Like, you go in, you break the ice, you feel her energy. Okay, is it good energy? Is it bad energy? It was good energy. She was hanging there. It was like she was being responsive. I was just getting positive vibe from her. So from there, you foster and you grow this conversation, like what I just described about the progression of things we talked about. And if that goes on for, 10, 15 minutes, maybe at most, I wouldn't say to go much longer than that necessarily. But if that's all good and she's actually inquisitive about you, and, in my case, she was asking me where I was from, what I was doing there. And, those are all very positive, good signs. Just reading her body language and the way she was smiling and all these kinds of things. And from there, I knew that the moment was about to come to a close, and I asked, "Hey, this is random, but would you like to exchange contacts? Maybe grab a drink or something sometime. Maybe I'll see you again someday. You never know." And we exchanged contacts, and who knows? Maybe I'll never see this woman again. Maybe I will. If anything, it was just another good opportunity to get comfortable talking to a stranger and just feeling out energy and getting experience with all this stuff. And these are all positive things that I don't think anybody should feel bad about. And at the end of the day, it was like nothing. You were just talking to another human being. So it is what it is. And that's just the way that I look at all these situations, and certainly the way that I encourage all you guys to look at these situations and not build them up too much. But point being, all of what I'm describing there is like, that was an example of when you approach with that sort of opener, like you give the woman something to talk about. You kind of create this small little space and this small little moment for and a discussion to actually occur, right? That's very like logical. And it's easy to see from a third person perspective when you're zoomed back and you're soaking up all of what I'm talking about here. That might seem very readily apparent, but so many guys do not do that. And they by contrast do the opposite of what I'm talking about. They don't give the woman anything to work with. They don't create any moment for a conversation to happen. It's just extremely awkward, and it goes nowhere. and it's painful to watch. And you know that I think any man going through this sort of situation is like, there's frustrations deep down inside there, because he's like, obviously he wanted to talk to this woman, didn't know how to do it, and it certainly didn't go well, didn't go anywhere, and it just is what it is. But the contrasting story is no joke. 3 hours later, I was just walking through a park. I was eating my packed lunch that I brought with me, where I'm out on this trip right now, and I was just sitting in a park, and 3 nice looking ladies were just walking by with cups of coffee in their hand. And one of the girls broke off from the group for a small amount of time. She was just trekking across the lawn to go throw away her coffee cup in the trash can. And this guy just kind of comes in out of nowhere. And, I wouldn't say he approached like fast or like in a creepy sort of way to the point where he might have alarmed her or anything like that with his movements. But it was just kind of this awkward moment where you could tell he didn't know what to say. The girl walks up, dropped her coffee cup in the trash can. She turns around, and now she's 180 walking away from this guy. And what does he do? He just says, "Hey, you look beautiful. I think you're beautiful." And that was it. And it was like, you could see the look on the girl's face, that she was like appreciative, and she turned around and she said, "Thank you." But then she just kept on trekking. She just kept on walking. And obviously that moment there was completely like nothing to do in that situation, I think, for the girl. I mean, just think about all of what was happening there, where she's already walking away. Just to make a broad statement like that, it doesn't really give somebody much of anything to respond to even. I mean, like, think about that for you as a guy. If somebody just threw out a compliment like that, I mean, it's awkward to evolve from there to a conversation. Sure, maybe it could if the circumstances were like completely perfect and right, but like, let's be real here and just look at this with an analytical eye for a second. There's not much to go off of there. And the other thing that comes across here is another thing that I'm always talking about is going in with a hand showing icebreaker as opposed to a non-hand showing icebreaker. It charges up the situation unnecessarily to the point where, like, right off the bat, this woman, of course, knew what this guy wanted or what he was up to or whatever. And it's just like there's no opportunity for a mellow, neutral, nonchalant, plain and simple, average, everyday, easygoing conversation to happen. So I hope you see the point there, the contrast between those scenarios. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying like toot my own horn and look at how amazing I am at talking to girls and look at how stupid this guy is. Not at all, because every single one of us guys has done stupid shit like that before. Believe me, like I've had my my doozies and my days in the past where, God, I made complete fireballs of situations that got like so awkward. But it was kind of a similar thing where you were kind of caught with your pants down. You didn't know what to do or what to say in that moment. It just went really awkward and really sideways and really bad. And you walked away like so frustrated from those moments for obvious reasons. But this is all the reason that I'm talking to you guys about this stuff. It doesn't have to be like that. If you follow along with some of the things that I'm recommending and suggesting to you, it will just be some aids that will help you create these neutral moments where a small little conversation can grow, right? I mean, think about one analogy I want to give you that I always think of. I mean, think about when you're trying to make a fire, right? Maybe some of you guys were in the Boy Scouts, maybe you never were, maybe hopefully you had a dad or something that showed you how to make a fire when you were a little kid, but think about the way you were taught to make that fire, right? You started with this little bits of tinder and some little wood sticks and little things, and you were down there like maybe with a flint or even just like a match, in this scenario. It works just fine for the analogy. But you started with this small little fire and you just kind of nurtured it a little bit. You kind of blew on it a little bit. You gave it a little air here and there. You kind of coaxed it into being. And then when the flames started to get a little bit bigger, those bigger sticks caught. And then from there, when it was really going, then you could stack the logs on top, and now you're really rolling, and you're actually getting somewhere, and you've got something to show for it, right? It's the same way when you're formulating that conversation. You've got to go in with something to try to start the fire, right? Like that's your icebreaker that I'm talking about here. Your non-threatening, non-hand showing neutral icebreaker is the little match or the little flint or whatever. And then from there, it's like you're slowly nurturing this conversation, right? Is she playing ball? Does the flame just blow out right away? Is there no flame there at all? Do I need to walk away from this situation? Or is the fire kind of starting? Is the conversation building? Is it getting, is it picking up steam? Is it accumulating? Okay, hopefully you get the point there. And the contrast on the other side is like what this guy did. And it's like maybe setting up a little tinder fire or tinder area logs or something like that are not arranged, and like just trying to throw a firecracker like right in the middle of it, right? The firecracker just goes in there, blows up, and probably nothing catches on fire, and just scatter a bunch of wood, i.e. the girl just runs away in the other direction. You've got nothing near as close to any sort of semblance of a fire that you're after, or that I think is necessary. Like anytime you're going to start anything with a complete stranger, I'm going to pretty much say, like pretty much across the board, like 99.99999% of times, like it's got to start like slow like this. It's got to start from a neutral standpoint. It's got to be nice and easy, no threat, just it's got to transpire in the way that I'm laying it out here over and over again for you guys. So I hope that all makes sense. I hope these analogies and just the way that I've described these things, and I hope that in seeing the contrast of those two stories, it gives you some perspective on maybe what you're doing in your life and where you're finding your successes and where you're finding your fails. And just think about that guy in the park. And it's like, you don't want to be that guy. I'm telling you, that's not going to get you very far in life. And it's not going to get you the results I think you're after. And I'm trying to encourage you to take more of the tack that I've learned to take, because I'm telling you, it's worked out really well for me. It has gotten me further than pretty much any other avenue that I've exhausted in trying to date, like i.e. the dating apps, like trying to go out at night, bars, clubs, all this kind of stupid stuff that we all do. It's like just, what a crazy concept, right? Just be a normal human being. Just be a little bit dashing, a little bit like seductive, let's say, a little bit like the James Bond George Clooney that just can make a moment happen somewhere, kind of making like the start of that fairy tale for women in a way. I think all girls kind of have this fantasy about starting a relationship with a man in this sort of way. And believe me, I think all of us guys, like we want to have the power to do this stuff, to walk up out of nowhere in an average everyday setting and make some magic happen. I think that's one of the coolest stories I think that you can have, especially in this present day and age, whereby these things are not happening at all in large numbers, let's say. And I think it's just, it furthers your cause, it furthers your case. And I know I've talked about this in other videos, but I'll say it again, guys. Like, this sets you so far apart from your competition if you've got the balls, and not only that, but the know-how to make a little moment like this happen and just start some little conversation, just see where it goes. And like I'm always saying too, I can't guarantee that it's going to go well for you. I mean, the girl may or may not be feeling you. It's not all just solely about what you're saying. It's like she's got to have some sort of attraction to you in that moment. But just if you can absorb what I'm telling you here, like this approach, I think will garner you more so the results that you're after than taking that firecracker approach, and that's just like one example. This could come in many different ways, but think of all the dumb things that guys say to women and the way they catcall them, the way they do all this ridiculous stuff like that does not work. I'm sorry. Like those are the facts of the matter as I see them. And whatever, you can agree and disagree with that, but I'm just trying to get you guys to be better. I'm just trying to get you guys to become natural at this and not be afraid of this stuff and really embrace it. And once again, I'll say it again, this is like one of the most exhilarating things I think that a lot of us can do. Strange as that sounds, as simple of a thing as this, but to walk up to a complete stranger, just a woman in an everyday setting that you're just attracted to, you just want to see what's up with her, and you just want to see where it could go. And when it actually goes good, I mean, this is the best freaking feeling in the world. And I want you guys to taste that. I want you to experience that. I want you to have a little cut of that pie. And I want you to know that you can do it. This is not rocket science here. I am not a genius. I am not Casanova. I am not anything different than what every single one of you guys is out there. This is just something that can be developed. It's a skill like any other thing, and I want to help you work on that. So let's keep talking, keep tuning in. I hope you guys are having a wonderful day. Talk to you soon.